Well, hello, friends and fans everywhere. Once again, it is your fitness captain on a beautiful day here in Canada. And we're going to talk about a very multifaceted, complex subject with a lot of moving parts. And you know what it is? It's the UFO phenomenon. That's right, friends and fans. Now, first of all, I put a video recently on Luis Elizondo, a man that worked for the CIA. He worked for the likes of Lockheed Martin military, big contractor, the biggest in the United States. And he worked in a program for the DOD, as he puts it, the Defense Military Establishment, basically, which steals often trillions of dollars. I mean, trillions of dollars disappeared from the DOD. Catherine Austin Fitts will tell you that, and a lot of other departments in the Pentagon. And where does it go? It goes towards the Black Covert projects, the same projects that Luis Elizondo tries to track. Apparently, he worked in a department, as it stated, which stands for, what is it, Luis Elizondo? It stands for Aerospace Aerial Threat Program, and it's called AQ. AQ, or what's the initials again? I forget. An AA Threat Program, AATP, I think it's called. Anyway, I just butchered it, but that's what it stands for, Aerospace Aerial Threat Program. And I just get so annoyed when I hear that. And you know, this Luis Elizondo, as I said in my other video, I'm sure he's a great guy. He seems like a nice guy. He seems largely a man of intellectual integrity. However, Luis Elizondo, you're still pushing a narrative. You're still not giving the full truth and disclosure to the public. You're actually providing a little bit of disinformation and half-truths because, you know, this, first of all, the fact that he's pushing a narrative, the fact that he's telling the world about this program that he worked on. Obviously, the military is telling him basically what to say, what he can say, and what he can't say. And the military, it's quite obvious, they want him to tell the world about this program, this threat program of trying to track UFOs, because they want to push the narrative to the public that some of these UFOs are actually threats. It's just a joke, a bad joke, because the military, certain nefarious military groups that are in charge of the UFO phenomenon, right? They want to try to justify weaponizing space. I mean, they're trying to justify all the trillions of dollars that get dumped into the military-industrial complex every year. I mean, it's been out of control for decades, and they know that. You got brilliant people and great people like Catherine Austin Fitts, a brilliant accountant who's trying to track the trillions of dollars. Joseph P. Farrell, my favorite prolific author, he's been also trying to track this financial system that's been put into place. Catherine Austin Fitts has done a fabulous job to try to track, and both of them, they can see the assets going from a public space program to the private industry to private corporations. And yet the private corporations, they take public money, like SpaceX and all these other companies. And what do? You know, they get rights. We've got a huge massive secret space program that's been put in place for decades. And I've talked about that. We'll be putting out a lot more videos speaking specifically on our massive secret space program. And part of this discussion, again, going back to Luis Elizondo. So he's for this ATIP, or whatever that short form is for his program, which stands for Aerospace Aerial Threat Program, right? AATP, I guess it's called. And, you know, again, it's the military's way. They're trying to justify weaponizing space. They're trying to get plausible deniability. So if you can tell the world and try to get in their heads that some of them, and manipulate and try to convince some people that these are real, genuine threats in space and threats to us here on Earth, then, you know, that's another way of trying to, again, you're justifying weaponizing space when they're not threats. This is us. These UFOs are not alien. They're military UFOs. That's the term. We need a whole new revision on how we speak about UFOs. As I said in the other video, there's no maturation process when speaking about UFOs. Because if you just call them UFOs, what does that mean? It just means unidentified flying objects. Well, they may be unidentified, but who's making them? It's not aliens, it's human beings, us, the military folks. Okay, speaking of military, I'm a real military man. And if you go to my other YouTube channel, yes, the title is Informant Lockheed Martin. That's my new YouTube channel, folks. And I respect Lockheed Martin. They've done a lot of great work. But they also have a lot of too much secrecy, folks. With these exotic propulsion systems, whatever these UFOs are relying on, and I believe it's definitely an amazing torsion physics. It's some sort of anti-gravity. They're manipulating the gravity systems. I mean, these UFOs, again, just like Luis Elizondo, he admits, they accelerate thousands of miles an hour within seconds. They can turn right angles. They could stop almost on a dime. And these maneuvers, it would rip apart the pilot from the G-forces, as Elizondo admits, and I already knew this. Well, of course. But what Luis Elizondo does not tell you, friends and fans, I'll try to take my glasses off. It's very sunny. We're in a beautiful park, by the way, as you can see. But what Luis Elizondo does not tell you is that we conquered anti-gravity, by the 1950s, like 1952. Because we know this, as I said in my other video, friends and fans, we had publications and magazines and newspaper articles back then with scientists talking about they were about to make a breakthrough in anti-gravity. The term UFO wasn't used back then, but they said spaceships, craft, would be able to accelerate many thousands of miles an hour within seconds, basically starting from like stopped on a dime, right? And they said they'd be able to turn amazing right angles and all that. And then all of a sudden, what happened? You didn't hear any more about anti-gravity. All of a sudden, it went black. If you do any research, you know this. Researchers know this. So what does that tell you? As I said in my other video, friends and fans, that means the military clamped down on the information. So we didn't hear about it anymore. And that's not right. Again, we've been obfuscated from the truth on this issue in particular for 70 plus years, friends and fans. I'm telling you. And you may say, 70 plus years? That long? And the answer is yes, because in the 1930s, as I said in the other video, and I'll say it many more times, and I've said in other videos as well, Germany was working on anti-gravity. They were working on amazing propulsion systems. We all know Germany was way ahead of Canada, Russia, and all the countries, US. And in the 1930s, hey, my friend's back there, he's listening. In the 1930s, the Germans were working on a program so top secret, so classified, so secret, that it was classified more top secret than even the atom bomb. And what was it? Well, we know by 1990, finally the documents came out. It was called the Glock, which stands for, of course, the bell in English. I said this in the other video. And they were working on, I believe, and other researchers think too, was some sort of anti-gravity, because it was shaped like a bell and it levitated. It didn't fly, but it levitated. We know this from concentration survivors who saw what it looked like as well. And many, many scientists died actually working on the program from the radiation and killing the scientists, so nobody could talk about this as well. This is all documented now. So anyway, that's when the Germans were working on that amazing propulsion systems. And again, it was rated so top secret because they knew it had major breakthroughs. It would make future breakthroughs on other future technologies. And that's when technological progress really amped up, especially when we brought, in 1947, when we had Operation Paperclip, bringing the thousands of amazing German scientists, or at least hundreds, to the US, and Russia got some as well, okay? Because we wanted that technology, and the US got it. And now it's trans-international. We got China, Russia, the US, the power countries, they have this technology. As I said on the other video, friends and fans, we've got huge fleets of UFOs literally flying out from the oceans, okay? Thousands of people have seen this. Of course, submarines, there's many cases, they're tracking these unidentified UFOs on the floor underneath our oceans, tracking them on radar, and they're going crazy speeds. So you better believe when Luis Elizondo, he won't even admit that first of all, he doesn't say that they're military UFOs. Okay, he doesn't talk about the black covert groups. He just says, well, at one radio interview, he said they're not in our inventory. Luis Elizondo, come on, you know that's not true. You know the Navy, first of all, is largely in charge of the huge UFO fleets. As I said on the other video, that even the Navy badge says Navy Space Fleet, basically on their badge. That tells you everything, because the Navy are all about fleet-to-fleet organization of craft. That's why they're largely in charge of these UFOs, and they fly from the oceans quite often. The Air Force, who I'm sure make UFOs as well, but no, they're not near as much as the Navy, because the Air Force is more about separate craft, right? Separate jet planes and exotic planes and spacecraft. So I just find that all this very fascinating, friends and fans, and especially when you know that this whole world, we could be having revolutionary technology at our disposal. We wouldn't have to rely on the stinky fossil fuel of oil and gas. And yet, to this day, we're supposed to believe that all we have is oil and gas, and our cars need it, and blah, blah, blah. Our homes could be powered up by this free energy, for heaven's sakes. And we're supposed to believe that all we have is rockets nowadays, but they're such sophisticated rockets. You hear the sarcasm in my voice, friends and fans? Because we have stuff way beyond rockets. And rockets, I mean, when we put the Saturn V with the astronauts and we went to the moon, and Kennedy announced to the world, of course, that we're going to the moon, and we did make that amazing accomplishment. We sent the astronauts to the moon. Well, guess what, friends and fans? That was just window dressing. That technology, the Saturn V, the rockets, that was window dressing for what they really had. And if you talk to amazing researchers like Billy Carson, who, unlike Luis Elizondo, he's trying to get at the truth and tell the world about the amazing free energies that we have in technologies. He tells you about the massive payloads that we're sending into space. We're going to the moon and Mars, as he will show you and tell you. There's all kinds of evidence for that. And this guy knows, because he's got his own space company. You better believe Luis Elizondo knows this as well. As I said in my other video, he's not a naive guy. He knows. And yet he can't talk about, he tries to say, well, I can't talk about sensitive information and classified information. Well, what can you talk about then, Luis Elizondo? Because the military, that's all they do these days, is classify, classify, classify. I mean, there's way too much secrecy between the military and intelligence agencies, the shadow government. They will tell you if you sit down one-on-one with them. They know the secrecy's gone out of control. And Luis Elizondo is an example. And Luis Elizondo, again, I'm sure he's a great guy. He seems like a nice guy. But I wish he would stop pushing this narrative. And if you're not going to tell the whole truth and discuss the fact that these are military UFOs, if you're not going to tell us the truth that we've got breakaway civilizations, a massive secret space program, interplanetary civilizations of us, human beings, going to the moon and Mars, but secret factions of the military and elitists, if you're not going to admit that and tell us, then Luis Elizondo, you got to stop doing these radio shows and putting out this disinformation, this sanitized, soft disclosure, because it's been 70 plus years. And the reason why I know the military and intelligence agencies, the reason why I think that they're getting Luis Elizondo to push this ridiculous narrative is because they're nervous. As I said on the other video, friends and fans, you see this? I bought this National Geographic. I couldn't help myself because it's so applicable in the world today. Big Brother, that's right. See the spy satellite, the space junk, and the other spy satellites? They're all over the place in space nowadays. So they know, the point being, friends and fans, they know they can't keep hiding this amazing technology from us much longer. And that's why they're nervous. And that's why they have the likes of Luis Elizondo, this former CIA agent. I'm sure he worked for the CIA. He's working for the intelligence agencies. Well, I think he admitted he worked for the CIA. And when you're retired from the CIA, you're never really retired. He's probably getting, as I say, God knows, maybe $100,000 to work on the side, to push out the narrative as an independent contractor, whatever. But, the point being, friends and fans, Luis Elizondo knows that we should have access to this free energy. that they're very nervous because we have so many spy satellites in space nowadays. And again, it's been 70 plus years. It's time we, the public, the world, have access to this truth. Most of us deserve it. We've been obfuscated from the truth for far too long. And I love the military. Believe me, there's a lot of great military folks. Don't get me wrong, okay? And I am a military man. Believe me. But seriously, friends and fans, we deserve the truth, and that the military, sometimes they pull some real diva moves. And I'll give you an example. In 2002, I even wrote it down, but I don't think I have to look at it. There was an author named, actually I do have to look at his names because sometimes I forget his name, Thomas Granaeus. He released a book called Raising Atlantis. Let me just double check that I have the title right for that. There's a hard copy called Raising Atlantis, yes. And you know what the military did? They banned, I believe it was the hardcover copy of the book eventually, they banned the sense of information being released because they didn't want people to know about the information on the continuity of government installations in Antarctica, because the book was about, it was all about ancient technology that was documented in Antarctica that the military found. It was based on a story, and it was all true because it was based on fact. They booked the military. They blocked the first ebook version in the spring to be released with sensitive information about. So they banned the sensitive information, and so anyway, it was just I describe it as a diva move from the military. I mean, come on. They never allow the general public to even know what's going on about all these continuity of governments. I can understand some of it kept secret, but we've got so many underground bases, friends and fans, not only in Antarctica, we know this all over the world. International parks underneath the oceans. And this is where it's so frustrating, friends and fans. This is where a lot of your trillions of dollars go of hard taxpayers' money. I'll give you an example. So Catherine Austin Fitts, the brilliant accountant I mentioned earlier, who realized and admits that nobody had to put words in her mouth. She realized after several years of trying to find out where are these trillions of dollars going, she realized, well, it must be going towards a secret space program, our underground bases. And in space, we've got a space-based economy going on. Largely, we don't don't even know about it. So anyway, Catherine Austin Fitts knows that, she said by going back in 1998, she estimated over $21 trillion is missing, gone, that not audited. I mean, you talk about a massive financial system put into place and a massive financial fraud. The military, certain nefarious military groups and shadow government, they have drug money stolen, used for black covert projects. We all know this. I'm not the only researcher that talks about this, but drug money, bank fraud, on a massive scale. Again, I'm using the word massive, but and lots of other types of fraud, and it just goes on and on, and all kinds of other ways they're stealing money, and it's deciphered off. It's just incredible. And that what is it, that 21 trillion I mentioned from 1998 alone, that equals out to about 60,000 friends and fans per year for every man and woman that could be having 60,000 to improve their lifestyle. And we got all this debt. You wonder why we have such a massive debt, and why the roads are, we have so many roads and bridges that need to be rebuilt that are breaking down. Meanwhile, the black covert projects for the military, just because they want to hide their technology, hide their breakaway civilizations that are going on the moon and Mars and the space stations all over the place, they want to decipher and get these trillions of dollars for themselves. And a lot of times, this is documented too. They'll build exotic planes worth billions of dollars, and then they'll scrap them because it didn't work out, or they don't need them anymore, and they move on to something else. You talk about a waste of money. And I'm talking about a lot of exotic spacecraft, friends and fans, too, that are way, way beyond the stealth aircraft, okay? So it's just so frustrating. And again, this diva move in 2002, it's too bad that an author who does real research tries to get a book out discussing some of the continuity of government installation information about, real facts about an important topic where the military and certain individuals had found apparently technology to do with an ancient civilization. And on another video, friends and fans, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the bizarre list of people that went to Antarctica recently. To this day, I'm still godsmacked with the amount, the royalties that have been to Antarctica. Buzz Aldrin, again, the 7th man to walk on the moon, or is he the 3rd man to walk on the moon? I forget. I think he was the 7th man. But anyway, we've got all the Buzz Aldrin. He was 86 years old at the time. He goes to Antarctica. We have Prince Harry go to Antarctica. The question is why? Why are these so-called important people in our society, why are they going to Antarctica? Why did Defense Secretary John Kerry, our senior Defense Secretary in the United States, I should say, I'm Canadian, not U.S., thank God, but why did Defense Secretary go to Antarctica, for example, and about a week after Obama went? And this is during an election season, yet John Kerry goes to Antarctica. Of course, the cover story, they have to have some cover story that, apparently he was going to go for some climate information. Give me a break. He can get all the climate information he wants at the drop of a hat at his desk in Washington. We all know that, okay? So that was baloney. That was bullshit. Excuse my language. So, it just goes on and on, friends and fans. And by the way, speaking of the trillions of dollars, Catherine Austin Fitts, for example, if you go back in the 1980s, in the Ronald Reagan years, which even whistleblowers came out and said the Reagan years were very good to the black world, to the black projects. The Reagan years, if you go back then, we're talking over $40 trillion that has gone missing. Hi, little doggy. We got people just enjoying this glorious, warm sunshine in a park. The snow is melting. Spring is around the corner. Anyway, we've got over $40 trillion missing since, if you go back in the 1980s and the Reagan years. Can you imagine how much interest alone that collects? I mean, it's just unreal. It's not right, friends and fans. I mean, I can understand the military. They want, a lot of money for the black covert programs and projects. But, if you're going to, there's no way that you guys should be covering up the anti-gravity for this long and the information on these free energies, in other words. There's no way. It's not right. It's not fair. And that's why, as I say, it goes back to this, friends and fans, and I'm addressing you elitists and military out there that are in charge of these projects, that are in charge of the UFOs and other exotic spacecrafts, not to mention, that I know you're nervous. I know you can't keep up the secret much longer, and you better not, because we should have access to it, friends and fans. Do you hear me, military out there? You other military, because again, I'm a military man, and Luis Elizondo, the likes of you, hey, why don't you hire me as your fitness trainer, dude? You got good bone structure, but I can tell you're getting a little heavy. Why don't we do some cardio out there? I'll show you some great exercises. And in the weight room too, man. So that's my spiel, my information I want to put out there today, friends and fans. We're going to make a longer video and more videos I hope to come. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And again, I'm going to hope to put out a new platform out there, hopefully. Maybe get a real video camera set up and all that, because I want to make a community in which you guys, friends and fans, can join me again in a community so that we can get out these topics. I'm trying to put out the research and stories that mainstream media doesn't want to cover, and I want you guys to join me in a community so we can talk about this all important subject, talk about these topics, be passionate about it, and very importantly, get out the truth to the rest of the world, that we've been obfuscated from the truth about these free energies for 70 plus years. And we need to get the truth, and we need to get it soon, friends and fans, again, because we got interplanetary civilizations going to the moon and Mars as we speak. It's happening. They can literally get to Mars in under 6 months. And again, you got amazing researcher like Billy Carson, who has his own space company. He even goes in secret meetings with other private space companies. He has to sign non-disclosure agreements, so he can't talk about what's talked about in those actual meetings. However, he does talk quite a bit about what he does know, other than in the meetings, and he talks about the massive payloads that we have in space going to the moon and Mars and the breakaway civilizations. And he agrees it's a total joke with using this dinosaur technology with rockets. And it's just the main discussion what mainstream media tells you that we know, it's all false. They don't talk about the militarized activities going on in space. And some of it, again, I can understand a little bit of secrecy, but they've gone way too far. And we should know about the breakaway civilizations. So thank you, friends and fans. I've got to go. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.